Life had never been gentle with him. Every morning began before the sun rose, with cracked hands, aching bones, and a silent promise to his daughter that he would never give up. He was a single father not by choice but by fate, carrying both parental roles on his shoulders while the world passed him by without mercy. Love was his only wealth, and exhaustion was his daily companion. That same morning, she was being driven through the city in silence, surrounded by luxury that felt more like a prison than a blessing. Billion-dollar decisions waited on her signature, yet loneliness echoed louder than any applause. Her life was flawless on paper, but hollow in reality, and she didn't know how close she was to losing everything. Rain turned the road into glass. The crash came suddenly, metal screaming, glass exploding, time slowing to a terrifying stillness. Her expensive car spun out of control and slammed into the divider. Drivers slowed, stared, and moved on. Except one man. He stopped without hesitation. No cameras, no calculations, no fear. He ran toward the wreck as rain soaked him through, prying the door open with pure desperation. When he saw her bleeding and shaking, status vanished. All he saw was a human being who needed help. As he carried her from the twisted metal, she clung to him instinctively. In that moment, she felt something she had never felt before, true safety. Not the kind money buys, but the kind that comes from someone willing to risk everything for a stranger. At the hospital, he stayed long enough to know she would live. He left quietly, slipping back into a life that demanded everything from him and offered nothing in return. But she watched him leave, her heart unsettled by a man who asked for nothing. Days later, fate crossed their paths again outside the hospital. He was struggling to calm his exhausted daughter after a night shift, apologizing for being late, for being tired, for being human. She recognized his voice instantly, and something inside her broke open. She approached cautiously, unsure how to exist without titles or guards. He didn't treat her differently. He didn't impress her. He simply spoke to her honestly, and that honesty felt more valuable than every luxury she owned. Coffee turned into conversation. Conversation turned into understanding. He spoke of sacrifices made in silence, of dreams postponed for bedtime stories and school lunches. She listened, realizing she had never truly listened to anyone before. She began visiting his world, small apartments, modest parks, simple meals. For the first time, she felt present, real, alive, and every smile he gave his daughter stitched her deeper into their lives. Rumors spread quickly. Advisors warned her. Friends judged him. A billionaire didn't belong with a struggling single dad. But love doesn't follow logic. It follows truth. He tried to push her away, afraid of becoming a temporary chapter in her powerful life. He believed she deserved more than a man constantly fighting just to survive. She reminded him that strength isn't measured in money, but in character. The night he finally allowed himself to believe, he watched her help his daughter with homework, laughing softly, completely unguarded. In that moment, he understood that love had quietly chosen them both. She stepped back from parts of her empire, choosing presence over power. He learned to dream again, not of escape, but of growth. Together, they built something fragile yet unbreakable. They faced criticism, pressure, and doubt. But every challenge only strengthened what they shared. They weren't perfect, but they were real. He never stopped being a struggling father. She never stopped being a billionaire. Yet those labels lost meaning when placed beside loyalty, trust, and love. Her world taught him possibility. His world taught her purpose. And in between, they found balance neither had ever known. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with rain, bloodied hands, and a quiet act of courage. The man with nothing gave her everything she never had. And the woman with everything gave him something priceless, hope. The richest love is not built on wealth, but on the willingness to show up when it matters most.